Through the skeletal remains of the Zoria Chemical Plant, a true predator was on the hunt. This was the Russian Federation's BMPT, better known as the Terminator. It was not a tank, but something arguably more terrifying in this environment: a tank support fighting vehicle. Built on a T-72 chassis, it bristled with an arsenal designed for one purpose: urban combat. Twin 30mm autocannons, 4 anti-tank missile launchers, and multiple machine guns gave it a 360-degree field of fire, allowing it to engage multiple targets simultaneously. Its mission was to escort main battle tanks, suppressing any and all infantry threats. As it moved down the debris-strewn Steelworkers Avenue, the Terminator projected an aura of invincibility, a multi-million-dollar monster engineered to cleanse ruins of any resistance. It was the undisputed king of this concrete jungle, or so its crew believed. 4 stories up, shrouded in the shadows of a shattered window, in Building 7, Sergeant Ivan Petrenko of Ukraine's 93rd Mechanized Brigade lay perfectly still. He and his spotter were a hunter-killer team, the antithesis of the machine they were tracking. Their strategy was the elevated ambush doctrine, a core tenet of modern Ukrainian urban defense. By positioning themselves high above the battlefield, they could bypass the ground-level clutter that limited sightlines and, more importantly, could exploit the single greatest weakness of any armored vehicle: its thin top armor. For over an hour, Petrenko's spotter used a pair of German-made Leica Vector 21 binoculars to track the Terminator's patrol pattern. The advanced German optics allowed for silent observation without emitting any detectable electronic signals. They would not power on their primary weapon until the last possible moment. The American-supplied FGM-148 Javelin missile system lay beside Petrenko, its deadly potential dormant. Patience was their greatest ally. They were waiting for the Terminator to commit to its path toward the Crimson Bridge, a route that would lead it directly into their pre-planned kill zone. The BMPT Terminator crept forward, its heavy tracks grinding glass and concrete into dust. Its optical sensors and thermal imagers swept methodically across the ruined facades of the surrounding buildings, a relentless electronic gaze searching for any sign of a threat. The crew inside, sealed within their steel cocoon, were professionals alert to the dangers of this environment. Sergeant Petrenko watched through the Leica binoculars, his heart rate steady. The vehicle was now less than 800 meters away and entering the optimal engagement window. "Now," he whispered into his radio. A quarter of a mile away, a third member of their team, hidden in a separate ruin, fired a single deliberate rifle shot into a metal sheet. The sharp crack echoed through the silent plant. It was the Acoustic Decoy Feint. The effect was instantaneous and profound. The Russian Federation vehicle's turret, with its twin autocannons, snapped violently to the left towards the source of the sound. The commander, reacting to a perceived threat, focused all of his advanced sensors on the decoy position, searching for the sniper that wasn't there. This was the window Petrenko needed. He took the bait, the spotter confirmed. Petrenko pushed the German binoculars aside and smoothly pulled the American Javelin's Command Launch Unit, or CLU, to his shoulder. He flicked the power switch. The system whined to life as the thermal imaging sensor cooled down, a process that took only a few precious seconds. Through the CLU's sight, the world became a ghostly monochrome landscape. The Terminator, still distracted, glowed with an intense white heat against the cold background. Petrenko placed the targeting brackets over the vehicle waited for the distinct tone confirming a solid lock on, and squeezed the trigger. There was no fiery backblast, no thunderous roar that would give away their position. The Javelin's soft launch system ejected the missile from the tube with a distinct low thump. The missile slid out of the window of Building 7 propelled by a small initial motor, clearing the room before its main flight rocket ignited with a brilliant flash of fire. As the missile roared to life, it pitched up sharply, climbing into the overcast sky on a steep parabolic trajectory. This was the Javelin's top attack mode, an engineering marvel designed for one purpose: to kill tanks. Inside the Russian Federation BMPT, the crew was alerted by their launch detection systems. A warning siren blared. They had less than 10 seconds to react. The commander frantically triggered the smoke grenade launchers, spewing a thick cloud of aerosol to obscure the vehicle from laser or wire-guided weapons. But it was a futile gesture. The American Javelin is a fire-and-forget weapon. It doesn't follow a wire or a laser beam. It follows the thermal picture of the target it locked onto before launch. The missile, now at the apex of its flight path, hundreds of feet above the battlefield, was completely autonomous. Its onboard seeker was locked onto the unique heat signature of the Terminator, and the smoke cloud was irrelevant. For a brief moment, the missile seemed to hang in the air before it pitched over its nose, pointing almost straight down. It was now a guided meteor, accelerating towards the thin, vulnerable roof of the most feared tank support vehicle in the Russian Federation's arsenal. The destruction of the BMPT Terminator was a textbook example of asymmetric warfare, where a superior tactic and technology negated superior armor. The vehicle's design philosophy was centered on survivability in a direct-fire urban environment. Its hull and turret are protected by thick layers of steel composite materials and advanced reactive armor designed to defeat threats coming from the front or sides. The Russian Federation engineers had built a fortress on tracks. However, like nearly every armored fighting vehicle ever built, its weakest point is its top armor, which is typically only a fraction as thick as its frontal protection. It's a calculated risk, as attacks from directly above have historically been rare. The American-made FGM-148 Javelin was designed specifically to exploit this universal weakness. Its top attack flight profile is its most crucial feature. By striking from an angle where the armor is thinnest, its powerful tandem charge-shaped warhead can achieve a catastrophic kill with near certainty. The first charge detonates any reactive armor, while the second main charge penetrates the hull. Furthermore, the Javelin's fire-and-forget nature provided a critical tactical advantage to Sergeant Petrenko's Ukrainian team. Once the missile was launched, they were not required to remain exposed to guide it. Petrenko and his spotter were already packing their equipment and moving to a secondary location before the missile had even reached its target. The Javelin struck the Terminator just behind the turret with a violent concussive blast. The warhead performed its function with brutal efficiency, punching through the top armor and detonating the vehicle's internal ammunition stores. The resulting explosion was catastrophic, blowing the turret upwards and engulfing the entire vehicle in a raging fireball. The symbol of the Russian Federation's urban warfare prowess was transformed into a burning, blackened pyre in a matter of seconds. The threat was neutralized. The king of the concrete jungle was dead. From their new position, Sergeant Petrenko and his spotter observed the aftermath. The battle was over as quickly as it had begun. The spotter raised his German Leica binoculars, not to look for new threats, but to confirm the kill. He scanned the twisted, smoking metal. The heat radiating from the wreck distorted the air, but his powerful optics allowed him to see with grim clarity. Amidst the chaos of shrapnel and debris scattered on the street, a small object fluttered in the light breeze. It was a piece of paper, charred at the edges, but still vibrant with color. It was a child's drawing, a crude but cheerful crayon depiction of a tank under a smiling sun, likely taped to the inside of the hull by a crewman. The spotter watched it for a long moment before lowering his binoculars. The high-tech killer triumph of tactics and technology was suddenly and quietly grounded in a profound human tragedy. The engagement in the Zoria Chemical Plant is a microcosm of the modern battlefield. It demonstrates a crucial military equation. A small, well-trained team with the right advanced weaponry can negate the power of a much larger and more expensive piece of hardware. The Russian Federation's multi-million-dollar BMPT Terminator, a vehicle requiring a crew of 5 and a massive logistical tail, was defeated by 2 Ukrainian soldiers with a single-man portable missile system. This is the reality of asymmetric warfare. It proves that technological superiority is not just about having the biggest armor, but about having the smartest weapon and the superior tactic. The age of the lone armored behemoth dominating the battlefield is being challenged by the lethal efficiency of the individual hunter. If you value clear cinematic battlefield analysis that explores the tactics and technology shaping modern conflict, consider subscribing to Military Cinematic News.